second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back to The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'm really excited to welcome into the show Mike Speedy. And I've known Mike for a while. I've worked with Mike on Second Amendment issues in the Indiana General Assembly. And Mike Speedy, as I'm sure you know, is also running for Congress in the 6th Congressional District. And listen, there are several people running in that district. By all accounts, at least that I've seen, Jefferson Shreve and Mike Speedy are the forerunners. And obviously Jefferson Shreve has a lot of money to spend, being a very wealthy guy. But anyway, Mike, and I always want to call you Representative Speedy. That's how I know you from working with you in the General Assembly. But first of all, welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Thanks, Guy. I appreciate you having me on.
So when you're going through this campaign and this primary election, just tell me and tell our listeners, how do you feel when you see Jefferson Shreve out pitching himself as a pro-2A candidate?
Well, it's pretty maddening, especially when he calls himself when he had an A Q rating, and it flies in the face of the fact that he has an F rating, and he maddened a lot of Indianapolis Republican primary voters when he came out with his so-called crime plan last. I think it was August or September. It's on one of those things where you can remember where you're sitting when you first heard it and couldn't believe it. But he's angered a lot of people who are very pro-2A, and it's very frustrating to have him in this race accordingly.
Did I see a negative ad attacking you? And I just saw, I think I saw a screenshot of this, but it seemed to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed to be from the Shreve campaign. And you had run an ad and I think legitimately touting your historical support for the Second Amendment, not only in the legislature, but also as someone who owns guns, who shoots guns. And there were a couple of pictures of you shooting a rifle. They were shooting a shotgun. You were wearing a shotgun vest. And somebody sent me an ad that said you're a fake 2A supporter because the padding on the shoulder on your vest was on the wrong side or some BS like that?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you? I mean, am I remember that correctly?
Yeah. So that vest that you saw was my dad's vest. He passed away a couple of years ago, and
I'm sorry.
I wear it with pride. And whenever I see it, whenever I wear it, it reminds me of this time we would go shooting and growing up. And he taught me gun safety from a very early age. I grew up around guns. And yeah, we did a photo shoot. It's we have a good record to talk about protecting our Second Amendment rights, and so I wore it because it means a lot to me. And I'm a lefty. I'm left eye dominant. We did do shooting some clays, and then we shot an AR-15, a rifle, and I'm a lefty, and that is a right one. But he's just getting chintzy. He's getting desperate, and yeah, you did see that commercial.
Yeah, I mean, I had to laugh out loud because here's a guy who proposed banning the rifle that you're shooting in a one or two of those pictures, banning it in Marion County. Yeah. He proposed raising age to buy that gun for someone who's old enough to go, participate in the military, go put themselves in harm's way in defense of this country. He wanted to roll back constitutional carry, and he wants to nitpick you on the vest you're wearing. Well, you're a legitimate gun owner, and you have got a long history in the Indiana General Assembly of supporting 2A. I know this because, I mean, you see me there. You see me in the committees. You see me working on behalf of the 2A project, and before we founded that, for Indiana gun owners generally, I know you. I've worked with you. It's got to be a little frustrating when here's a guy proposing gun control measures and he wants to nitpick you on the vest you're wearing.
Yeah. But it just tells you how unserious he takes our right to bear arms rights, our natural right to do that. When he just pokes fun at commercials, when someone on a candidate that takes it very serious, it is angering. So yeah. But you know what? We just rise above it.
Well, that's exactly right. So how you feeling? I mean, we're on Saturday. The election's on Tuesday. How you feeling about how this thing's going to come out?
We're feeling good. We're getting attacked from both sides. From we feel like obviously from Shreve and another candidate that's been push texting us and trying to say that distort our record as well. And we've pushed back. It's not fun to do, but we've pointed out their flip flops, their personal foibles that question their ability to do this job, and their commitment to Indiana. So we've had to be a fighter. This job is very important, that you have someone who's a fighter, who's not afraid to take a punch and deliver a punch. And we've had to demonstrate that, and we feel good. Our message is being received. There are a lot of undecideds out there, I should say, and we feel like they're coming our way because there's too much at stake. They realize how bad our country's in, and they're starting to look at a guy who's got good business experience as well as a proven legislative record, and we feel good about it.
Well, and listen, I mean, I personally, being a radio host, a lot of times I hesitate to endorse candidates. I'm not sure that's my position as a radio host. At the same time, I also run a pro 2A organization, the 2A Project, which conflicts me a little bit sometimes. But while I haven't come out and endorsed anyone specifically in this race, I will tell you that it's very much a passion of mine and it's a priority of mine to set the record straight and get the facts out. And people ought to be voting based on facts, not on campaign promises, not on campaign, I don't say lies, but pretty damn close. Mischaracterizations.
More lies.
Exactly. And so one of my primary goals in having this show is to make sure that we get the facts out there. And listen, I want to be fair in all respects, and that's why I invited Jefferson Shreve to come on. He was too much of a coward to come on. His staff doesn't want him anywhere near me, I guarantee you. But part of this is just getting the facts out, and that's why I was really excited that you were willing to come on the show and talk a little bit about what I see as complete mischaracterizations in this campaign and where people really stand on the Second Amendment.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I don't know, we've worked on a couple of bills the last couple of years or so, but I've been in the legislature 14 years, and the first bill one of the first bills I filed when I first got there was the bill that took away prohibited a municipality from keeping law-abiding citizens to carry in their parks. Remember, a lot of
the preemption law. You bet.
Yeah. A lot of these cities came out in the 70s and 80s and became Democrat strongholds, and they passed these do not carry provisions in all their parks. And one of the first things we did, that preemption law, was pass that. And I was the lead author on that. And that tells you from the day one, from getting into the legislature, I started undoing all and rescuing the freedoms that have to do with our 2A. So anyway, so that's what we did 14 years ago. Then you and I worked on a couple of, and then we had constitutional carry about 4 years ago.
No, absolutely. And by the way, that preemption law, and it was authored by Jim Toms in the Senate, and you were the leader in the House, exactly as you just said. And I still say that's one of the most important laws we have here in Indiana. It prevents, every local government. Think of if Bloomington and Hammond and Evansville and all these different towns and cities could regulate firearms any way they wanted to, and that exists in a lot of other states. They can't do here in Indiana because of the efforts of legislators like you and Senator Jim Toms. And so I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a huge one. And that's what I mean. You've got an actual record on these issues.
Yeah. And then go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. You go right ahead. We're a little past bottom of the hour. We need to wrap this up. But what would you want to say here on the Gun Guy Show to voters in the 6th District?
Well, I have a proven record, and I'm thankful that the NRA gave me the only A+ rating in this race. Other groups have also shared my surveys with them, the National Association of Gun Rights, for example, and they shared that with their members. So look, if you're a member of that organization, take a look at my survey. But yeah, you and I worked on 2 bills just in the last 2 years that protected gun shops, gun manufacturers, people who and gun owners from government, interference and registries and wokeness and stuff like that. So anyway, it's been a pleasure working with you on that.
Well, absolutely. And like I said, you've got a record on these issues. It's not based on promises. It's not based on mischaracterizations. And that's why I'm really glad you're here. I'm sure that title still applies, right? We're past the session and you're not running for re-election.
Yeah, technically, I'm still representative until the evening of Election Day in November.
There you go. I stand corrected. Representative Mike Speedy, I've worked with you on many different issues as we've discussed. Thanks so much for joining us on the Gun Guy Show.
Sure. I'll talk to you soon, Guy.
Absolutely. All right, we're taking a break. We're a little past the bottom of the hour. We'll come back. We're talking about a new gun rights organization that is popping up here in Indiana. Who are these guys? What's their agenda? They call themselves the largest and most influential gun rights group in Indiana, and I'd never heard of them before. Let's talk a little bit about these guys and what they're doing when we come back. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93